What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Typically here we're talking about business, about finance, and about real estate. My name is Austin Zabak, and as you saw in the title and as you saw in the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about my net worth, how I became a millionaire before the age of 25, exactly what businesses and investments I was able to do that got me to where I'm at, what we're doing moving forward, and we're just gonna break everything down for you and really talk about that journey just a little bit. And we're gonna try to do all of that in a very short period of time, so make sure that you stay to the very end of the video. So I'm gonna keep the introduction really short, okay? My name is Austin Zabak. As I said a minute ago, I'm 25 years old. I currently live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I run multiple businesses, and I'm gonna break exactly all of that down for you here in just a minute, okay? But right now, I'm a real estate agent. I have a team, a traditional real estate team called the Zabak Group. I also run an investment real estate company. I make other investments as well. And I've started a lot of other companies in my life that haven't worked out and a couple of others that have, but we're just gonna go ahead and break all of that down. So just a quick backstory on me. I grew up in a very average household, a very average family, and I didn't get or inherit a bunch of money, okay? I actually grew up in my grandparents' garage in Gilbert, Arizona. I was born and raised right here, okay? And basically, I became what you might call an entrepreneur at a very young age, or I at least developed that mindset. At about 7 years old, I started a pool company, okay? Now everybody started something, I feel like. Everybody that was born in the 90s or in the 2000s, they were doing a lemonade stand, or they were mowing lawns, or they were selling golf balls on the golf course back to golfers that they found in the lake at the golf course. Whatever the case was, people were grinding and people were hustling, which you can probably relate to. So for me, it was a pool cleaning company, meaning I cleaned swimming pools. Okay, now if you're familiar with Arizona, then that business made all the sense in the world when I was growing up because it is like 110 or 120 degrees here in the summer. So everybody and their mom has a swimming pool. And it's actually what my grandpa did for a living and still does to this day. So he showed me the ins and the outs, and then eventually I was able to get my own clients and I was able to create my own income. So I did that all of growing up, and I really learned entrepreneurship. I learned the art of selling. I learned the art of making money. I really had to fail, I had to learn, and there was a lot of things I learned over the years. Growing up and getting a little bit older, I went ahead and I worked a lot of normal jobs because back in 08 when the market crashed, I ended up getting rid of my pool company and not doing that anymore. And I was probably about 15 or 16 years old at the time, and I ended up going and working at a dry cleaners. That was actually my first job ever. And from that job to the last job that I ever had when I was about 18 years old, I worked probably about 15 different jobs, okay? I never really liked being told what to do, when to show up for work, how much money I was worth, or anything like that. It just wasn't something, obviously, that I was used to because I had grown up basically setting my own hours and doing my own thing. So long story short, I really didn't end up liking that. And I also didn't like the idea of going to college, okay? I really, for whatever reason, was always against that. Probably because I'm not the smartest person in the world when it comes to being book smart, okay? Especially when it comes to, learning things that I didn't have any interest in. So if you're watching the video and that's you right now, you're younger, you're in your teens, maybe your early 20s, you still don't know what you want to do with your life, then just continue to stay here to the very end of the video. Right after, of course, you smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Because I feel your pain. I know exactly what you're going through if that is you right now. I didn't get that good of grades and I just had no interest in that, which is actually what led to me getting into the world of real estate. At about 18 years old, I kept seeing people on Facebook and on Instagram and all of these different things, although Instagram wasn't that big of a thing quite yet, but at the time, primarily on Facebook, and people were talking about how they were investing in real estate with no money down. And I was like, well, how in the world are people investing into real estate with no money down, right? Because I was always, watching HGTV and stuff like that growing up, and it seemed to me like you needed a lot of money to get into real estate. Like you had to have a lot of knowledge, you had to have really good credit, and you had to have a bunch of good connections. None of which I had, of course, so, I kind of dove into that and I started doing a bunch of research, and I found what I still do to this day, one of the things that I still do, and that is what they call wholesaling real estate. So here I am, 18 years old. I don't have a lot of money in the bank because I pretty much blew all my money growing up. I never went to college, and I basically got into the world of wholesaling real estate. I dove in head first. I didn't have a lot of money saved, and, well, you could probably guess I failed miserably. But over time, over the next couple of months, I ended up eventually getting my first wholesale deal, and that deal changed my entire life. life, because when I got that check and I closed that deal, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was real for me. I was able to look at that check and I knew that the effort that I put in, I received a reward from that. And I knew that if I could do it one time, I could do it 10 times, and then I could do it 100 times, and eventually I could do it 1,000 times. So that's what I did. I stayed the course and I kept working hard. I kept looking up to people, and I only wish that I had people to watch on YouTube back in the day. Nobody was really making content like this back then, but I just basically worked really hard and I did whatever was necessary to get to where I'm at, and I failed miserably along the way many times across many different industries and businesses, all of which I'm happy to dive into in another video. But moral of the story is wholesaling led to me getting my real estate license. It led essentially to me becoming a realtor, which is the second thing that I do right now today. So then basically by the time I was probably 19 or 20, I was a real estate agent and I was also wholesaling real estate actively in both. And a lot of times what I would do is I would wholesale a house to a cash buyer, to a landlord, to a flipper, or whatever the case is, and then I would pitch them on me listing their property at a discount. Because in the beginning, I didn't have any credibility. I really didn't have anything going for me other than me saying, look, I'll list the property cheaper than anybody else out there because I just wanted to get my name out there. I wanted people to drive down the road and see my sign in the front yard and have the opportunity for people to call me so I could potentially make even more money. So here I am, I'm a 21-year-old kid, I'm a real estate agent, and I'm a wholesaler. And I'm doing decent, okay? But again, I have huge goals, I have huge aspirations, and at the time, I wanted to do more, I wanted to become more. I wanted to evolve, and I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to change the world and impact the world. So that led down kind of a rabbit hole of a lot of different things over that span of a couple of years, okay? I got into actually flipping real estate, so now I was a wholesaler, I was a real estate agent, and now I was a flipper. I also partnered up with multiple different people in multiple different industries, a lot of which actually didn't end up working out over the long run. Some of which I ended up making good money in, and others I ended up losing a lot of money in. A lot of random business ventures that, some of them had nothing to do with real estate. And looking back, in retrospect, I almost wish I would have just stayed the course. I wish I would have stayed consistent, but again, you never want to change the past because the past is exactly how I got to where I'm at today. So after trying multiple different things and not really focusing 100% of my energy on real estate, I tried different industries that didn't end up working out in the long run. I owned a marketing company, like an MMA company. You probably heard Ty Lopez talking about that in the day. And there was a lot of different things like that I ended up trying, right? And for me, ultimately, none of those ended up working out. And ultimately, I ended up right back to square one, which was in real estate investing, okay, which again has honestly changed my entire life. So looking at that industry, I know for a fact it can change yours. And now today, that industry has allowed me to invest into things like the stock market, right? Into things like, the S&P 500 and good mutual funds and ETFs. And now we're doing so many other things, but it all led or started from me doing real estate and actually taking that very seriously. So after having multiple different partnerships with multiple different people, I finally got to where I'm at today, which is having an amazing partnership and an amazing team where every single day, day in and day out, on a monthly basis, we're wholesaling anywhere from 25 to probably 35 wholesale deals a month, and that's just wholesale. That isn't being a real estate agent or what my team produces or I produce on the traditional side of things. It isn't the flipping business. It isn't any of our rental properties, and now we're even starting to look at buying Airbnb properties. So that's what you see today. You see this big office, and I'm making YouTube videos, and I'm talking to you, and really my goal now today with YouTube, with you watching the video right now, really with everything that I'm doing, is ultimately to show you my journey, to provide as much value as I possibly can every single day. Because there was a day and a time where I looked up to people like me, and I still do. I still watch guys like Graham Stephan, right? And I just literally watched his house tour video literally like a day or two ago, and it inspired the crap out of me, especially in his dining room where he has a neon sign that says to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. So just consider doing that for me as well. But anyways, all jokes aside, I really am at a place now where we're scaling. We're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I've never been more grateful in my life. So let me just share with you now where we're at, and then where we're going. So if you have any interest in getting into real estate and investing in, starting companies, whether that be, Amazon FBA or Walmart automation or Amazon automation or Shopify, okay, or Forex, or investing in the stock market or investing into real estate or whatever the case is, hopefully you get a golden nugget or two from the video, and I don't know, it inspires you to take action. It inspires you to not get shiny object syndrome and just stay the course and just, make as much money as you can and be smart with your money, invest, and the whole nine. So what the goal is now, basically, and I made a couple of other videos on this, is I would love to get to a point where we're doing about 50 wholesale deals a month between my entire team, okay? Now, again, I have to thank my entire team for even pulling that off. Then my goal is to flip anywhere from 1 to 3 deals a month, okay? So of the 50 that we wholesale, we're looking at potentially flipping anywhere from 1 to 3 of them a month. We wanna buy about a rental property a month on top of that, and an Airbnb property about every couple of months on top of that, and ultimately I would love to get to a point where we own like 100 rental properties in the next couple of years, utilizing things like the Burr method and different things that you've probably seen 100 different times on YouTube. But I'm a real living, breathing example of somebody that didn't go to college, that didn't get that good of grades, that didn't really ever know what he wanted to do, that happened to get into real estate, and now at 25 years old, after a ton of failure, a ton of trials and tribulations, here I am every single day surrounded by amazing people making it happen. Which, quick side note, leads me to one of the most important lessons that I've ever learned, and that is ultimately to surround yourself with amazing people, have amazing partnerships if you're gonna have partnerships, and make sure that you build an incredible team. My mentor once told me, said, Austin, you can go fast alone, but you can go far with people. And that stuck with me until today, because to be completely honest with you, I wouldn't be where I'm at without my amazing partners and my amazing team. And I'll be honest, it wasn't always that way. And one more thing to add to that is I had to have bad relationships, bad partnerships, and a team that maybe wasn't exactly what I wanted in order to realize what I did want so that I could get exactly to where I'm at today. So just understand that it is all a part of the journey, and if you're anywhere on that journey, know that it isn't about the end destination, but instead the journey from where you're at to where you want to go, knowing that once you get to the so-called destination, that the destination in and of itself will eventually move, because it is a moving target. And ultimately, you'll never achieve that. And that in itself will just become a part of the destination. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg for what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Again, my goal is just absolutely massive for everybody. I was telling my partner the other day, I said I would love to do $250 million worth of real estate in 2021 between wholesaling, flipping, buying rental properties, and traditional real estate combined. And then I would love to get into development, and I would love to buy multifamily real estate. And there are so many other things that I would love to do. And I talked about this several times on my channel. So if you haven't subscribed, definitely consider doing so. So that is obviously my goal, or at least a small fraction of my goal. And I just want to encourage you to do the exact same. Make sure that you're thinking really big and that you don't ever let your upbringing or your circumstances or where you came from, determine your future, your destiny, and where it is that you're going. Because a lot of people that I look up to, they didn't start out with the brightest or best, beginnings, but ultimately they turned, that into what it is that they have today. So don't get down and out, and make sure that you wake up every single day and you just make a little bit of progress towards the ultimate goal. Make sure to enjoy yourself along the way. Make sure to embrace failure along the way. There's a lot of people out there that make failure look like a bad thing, and that couldn't be further than the truth. There's been a lot of times in my life where looking back, I'm like, man, I shouldn't have bought that car, I shouldn't have traveled to that place with those people. I wasted a ton of money. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just invested my money. But to be honest with you, had I not gone and bought a Lamborghini when I was, 21 or 22 years old, I would have never realized that that kind of stuff didn't make me happy. Had I not traveled the world with people that ultimately I don't hang out with anymore, I would have never realized that, those things aren't, exactly what they're made out to be. And there's all of these different things throughout life and throughout success and entrepreneurship and investing and real estate in the stock market and all of these things that if you don't take the risk. And if you don't learn the lesson, then you'll never have that wisdom. You'll never have that knowledge. So just remember that, a lot of people are going to discourage you from taking the risk and ultimately taking the leap of faith, but you have to do that. And if you don't, you'll never have the knowledge. Again, you'll never have the wisdom, and ultimately, you'll never be able to inspire other people. Just remember that there's no testimony without the test. A lot of people want the testimony without the test, and it just simply doesn't exist. There you have it, guys. That is what, in general, my upbringing is, what we're doing today, where we're at, and a glimpse of where we're headed. If you have any nitty-gritty questions on how we're able to do what we're able to do, exactly what, the intricate details are of the different things that we do, I would love to make videos on any of that. So definitely feel free to just drop a comment in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation with you there and answer any questions that you have. And if enough of you ask for a particular type of video, I would love to make that video for you. So definitely do that. Again, if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.